Folks, sorry for the delay, but the September 9th, 2014 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
President Adair.
Here.
Mr. Ansello. Ms. Andrews. Mr. Baroth. Ms. Boyce. Dr. Carbone. Mr. Colby. Mr. Daniele. Mr. Delahanty. Mrs. Draw. Mr. Gamble is excused. Mr. Gamina. Mr. Haney. Mr. Howland. Ms. Cayley. Mr. John Lightfoot. Mr. Willie Lightfoot is excused. Mr. Marionetti. Mr. Michike. Mr. Morelli. Dr. Quattro. Ms. Rivera is excused. Mr. Rocco. Mrs. Stick. Ms. Taylor. Mr. Tucciarello. Mrs. Valerio. Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Yolovich.
Please stay seated. At this time, I would like to introduce Bishop Lynn Larson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who has been invited here tonight by Legislator Dorothy Stick. Bishop, it's all yours.
Our Father in heaven, as we gather this evening, we give thanks to Thee for the many blessings that we enjoy each day, for the opportunity we have to gather in peace, in freedom, and comfort, to conduct the business of the people of this county. We're grateful for all Thy many blessings and recognize Thy hand in our lives and pray that Thou might be with us this evening, that those who gather to conduct business this evening may do so with integrity, with goodwill, with concern for their friends and neighbors. We pray that Thou might bless them in doing so, that they might be guided and directed to do those things that will be best for the community they serve. We ask a blessing upon their families while they are away, that they might be blessed in their absence, that they might recognize the benefit to all of us of the sacrifice of their time and efforts on our behalf. And this evening we remember Officer Pearson and his family and ask that Thou might comfort them. Once again, we give thanks for all those who offer their time and energy and efforts and make sacrifices on our behalf. And pray that Thou might bless those whose time and presence and they sacrifice. Bless us this evening in all that we do. Let Thy Spirit be among us as we conduct Thy work and as we return to our homes, that we might do so in safety in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Legislator Debbie Draw will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Draw. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please, at this time, please remain standing. Without objection, we will take agenda items number 20 through 22 of the regular agenda order. Agenda item number 20 is moved by Mr. Tucciarello. It is seconded by Ms. Andrews. Will the clerk please read the resolution in memoriam for Anthony D. Reed, former member of the Monroe County Legislature?
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of Anthony D. Reed, former member of the Monroe County Legislature. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deep sympathy at the recent passing of Anthony D. Reed, former member of the Monroe County Legislature. And whereas Tony Reed passed away on August 8, 2014 at the age of 77. And whereas Tony attended both Monroe Community College and Rochester Institute of Technology. Throughout his life, he worked for both Eastman Kodak and Xerox, and later was a partner of the Reed and Willis Valet Service. And whereas Tony was deeply involved in the community he loved, he joined his family in the 1960s to form the African American Club and was the president of the Congress of Racial Equality. He was also active in the Fight Organization and the Urban League Board, where he championed equality and civil rights within Rochester. He also volunteered as a tutor to students at number 19 school. And whereas Tony was a respected colleague within the Monroe County Legislature, where he served 12 years, first from 1972 to 1977, and again from 1980 to 1985. During his terms, he was a member of several legislative committees, including Intergovernmental Relations, Public Safety, Social Services, and Ways and Means. And whereas Tony was a man committed to his faith and his family, he is survived by his wife, Ori Wallace Reed, children Sylvester, Diane and Patrick, and Antoinette, best friend Fred Denson, siblings Philip and Phyllis, Jacqueline and Nikki, and many other members of his extended and church family. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby requested to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Please remain standing. Agenda item number 21 is moved by Mr. Tucciarello. It is seconded by Ms. Andrews. Will the clerk please read the resolution in memoriam for Darrell Pearson of the Rochester Police Department?
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of Darrell Pearson of the Rochester Police Department. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deep sympathy at the recent passing of Officer Darrell Pearson of the Rochester Police Department. And whereas Officer Darrell Pearson tragically passed away on September 4th, 2014 as a result of injuries sustained during the pursuit of a suspect. And whereas Officer Pearson was a member of the Rochester Police Department's Tactical Unit, a group known for being located in areas of high crime and often exposed to the most dangerous of situations. And whereas Officer Pearson was an exemplary officer who went above and beyond the call of duty. Throughout his service with the RPD, Pearson received many awards and accolades. Among his honors were a 2010 Officer of the Month Award, a 2013 Good Conduct Award, and 11 Chief's Letters of Recognition, most of which commended his efforts in removing illegal guns from city streets. And whereas Officer Pearson served the Rochester Police Department faithfully for 9 years. In those years, Officer Pearson became one of the most respected men in the tactical unit, often bringing calm in oftentimes chaotic situations. And whereas he is survived by his wife, Amy E. Pearson, son Christian, daughter Charity, father Steve R. Pearson, mother Deborah J. Pearson, sister Patty and Greg Van Fleet, brother Brett Pearson, sister Julie Pearson, mother and father-in-law Mitch and Joan Evans, several nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, and cousins, and his extended family at the Rochester Police Department. And whereas Officer Pearson is a hero to our entire community, he will be remembered as a devoted individual who spent his life serving others and protecting our streets from danger. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby requested to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Please remain standing. Agenda item number 22 is moved by Mr. Tucciarello. It is seconded by Ms. Andrews. Will the clerk please read the resolution in memoriam for Larry and Jane Glazer?
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of Larry and Jane Glazer. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deep sympathy at the recent passing of Larry and Jane Glazer, who demonstrated their commitment to the Rochester community for many years. And whereas the Glazers left us far too early and our entire community feels the void that they leave behind. And whereas Larry and Jane Glazer are survived by their 3 children, Mindy, Rick, and Ken, as well as their grandchildren, family, and friends. And whereas Larry and Jane truly believed in the city of Rochester and the spirit of its people. Despite its many challenges, the Glazers saw Rochester as on the rise and demonstrated a long-term commitment to seeing it flourish. Larry Glazer was a real believer and had a vision for what the city could be that was both optimistic and achievable. His company, Buckingham Properties, owned and operated a significant portion of downtown Rochester and continue Larry's legacy of transforming the area. And whereas Jane Glazer was a successful businesswoman in her own right, founding QCI Direct in 1983. Originally a one-woman venture, the company now employs 100 people and produces 2 national retail catalogs mailed to 35 million people annually. Jane was a model of entrepreneurship and of the dedication required to build a successful business. And whereas, despite their many business ventures, both Larry and Jane Glazer dedicated their time and resources to the causes and charities they were involved in. Both served on the boards of the Jewish Community Center, Nazareth College, and WXXI, among many others, while also championing a number of philanthropic missions. And whereas, Larry and Jane Glazer were 2 people committed to improving the world around them. They lived their lives believing they would succeed if they did right, and their legacy will forever be intertwined with the success of our community. They will be greatly missed. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby requested to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Please be seated. You have received your copy of the Journal of Day 8, August 12, 2014. Without exception, that journal will stand approved as submitted. There's a hearing loop in place tonight to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anyone requiring assistance should inquire at the clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic devices in your possession, I would request that you make it inaudible for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next cycle are in your folders. At this time, it's a great privilege of mine to introduce Mark Quinn from Monroe County Parks Department, who is going to let us know about the plant of the month. Mark?
Thank you. Good evening. The plant of the month this month is flax. There's about 67 species of flax. We have one species up here, which is garden flax. I got to say, after walking in here tonight, it's probably the most fragrant thing I've ever brought into the room. Really beautiful smell. Nice thing about this flower is it really will bloom for a long time in your garden in fall. It blooms from mid-July right through till probably the first hard frost. Likes to be in a sunny spot. It's very good for attracting butterflies and birds. Probably, unfortunately, it attracts four-legged wildlife as well. So if you're in a heavy deer use area, it might not be the best flower for you. There's other species of flax I like a lot. Some of the creeping flax is one of my favorites, but that's a spring bloomer. So there's a lot of other things. These are actually natives, although these are probably horticulturally produced. But flax itself is native to North America. Again, they'll grow from 1 to 3 feet tall. They make great cut flowers. They're relatively easy to care for with few pest problems. Very nice flower in the garden. Come in a lot of different colors, mostly pinks, purples, whites. Great flower to have. They'll last for a long time in your garden, and they don't take much care. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you. This evening we have several proclamations scheduled. Madam Clerk.
Would Dora Christian please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and legislators Robert J. Colby and Joshua Baroth. Whereas Dora Christian has been a nutrition team leader for Cornell Cooperative Extension in Monroe County for 12 years. Cornell Cooperative Extension, based out of Cornell University, strives for ecological sustainability and social well-being by utilizing local experience and research in various communities. Dora will retire from her position at the end of this month. And whereas in her position, Dora was a tireless advocate for improving the lives of Monroe County residents. She worked closely with food stamp recipients, often touring grocery stores to educate families on utilizing their benefits. She wrote a weekly food blog for the Democrat and Chronicle, and she did numerous presentations on using fresh produce at farmers markets and the Rochester Public Market. And whereas, along with her tenure at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Monroe County, Dora was chair of the science department at Nazareth Academy for over 30 years. Her education is rooted in Monroe County. She is a graduate of Nazareth College and a certified New York State teacher. And whereas Dora was and will continue to be highly respected by her coworkers and community partners, she has impacted the lives of many during her time at Quell Cooperative Extension of Monroe County and will be greatly missed. Now, therefore, we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Robert J. Colby, Legislator District 20, and Joshua Baroth, Legislator District 24, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Dora Christian for her dedication to Cornell Cooperative Extension and the residents of Monroe County. Congratulations.
This was extremely unexpected. I was here under other motives that my employer had given to me. But I want to thank you very much. It has been a pleasure serving the residents of Monroe County, particularly the limited resource audiences. They needed much, and I'm hoping and praying we will continue to receive the SNAP grant. We don't know yet. We should know by the end of the month whether we will have that in the future. Hopefully we'll be there. It's also been a pleasure working with initiating, expanding the Local Boar Initiative in Monroe County and working with our local farmers. That has really been a great privilege doing that. So thank you very much for this recognition.
Would representatives from the Conkey Cruisers please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and Legislator John Lightfoot. Whereas Teresa Lou Bowick founded the Conkey Cruisers in response to her neighbors' misperceptions of exercise in the Conkey Avenue area. As a registered nurse and an avid healthcare advocate, she was inspired to change the negative perception of exercise in her neighborhood. And whereas in 2012, Teresa developed the Conkey Cruisers Bicycling to Better Health Voyage to help motivate her neighbors to eat healthier on a buck and promote a positive image of their neighborhood. And whereas, with the help of dedicated volunteers like Jacinta Harris, Rudolph Harris, Michael Davis, Kimberly Futch, Renita Williams, Basilio Torres, and Jeffrey Sapp, they incorporated the El Camino Trail in the plan. This trail runs directly along Conkey Avenue, providing a perfect route for its Conkey Cruisers bicycle voyages. Whereas, the Conkey Cruisers have motivated the area neighbors to enjoy a more healthy and active lifestyle and create a positive, connected community. This year's theme, Focus on Family Fitness, has inspired the community to keep their neighborhood safe and healthy, and even receive recognition from First Lady Michelle Obama. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Legislator John Lightfoot, District 25, do hereby recognize the Conkey Cruisers for their dedication to promote health and wellness in Monroe County.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Renita Williams. I am a member and a volunteer of the Conkey Cruisers program. I just want to say the Conkey Cruisers program is an awesome program for any age group. We have bikes for any age group, anybody that needs one. We ride during the summer for about six to 7 weeks. Every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we did it this year. A couple of things we do is one time we went to Tops and the kids bought a healthy snack. And the point of that was to show them that you can buy healthy foods that are in your community that do not cost like $5. We also rode up to the zoo, which was very fun. kind of nervous right now. But it's really awesome program. And it has been great to me. With the help of it, this summer I was able to lose 8 pounds. So it was just, it's amazing, it's fun, it's interactive, and educational at the same time. That's basically it. Thank you. Have a blessed night.
I'm just going to take about 65 seconds to share with you how we went from a neighborhood in which they said nobody exercises in to a neighborhood of champions. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure to meet, I am Teresa Bowick, and I serve as the captain of the Conkey Cruisers. And about 4 years ago, I was jogging in my neighborhood near Conkey Avenue, not one of those places that'll make the top 10 places to visit in Monroe County. However, on this day, as I'm jogging down the street, a kid yells out, "Hey, lady, are you on probation?" So I stopped and looked around. The young boy thought that I was running from the police. And I exclaimed, I'm just exercising, baby. And as I went on my journey, I ended up on Joseph Avenue, stopped to talk to some neighbors, and a gentleman came up and said, "Don't talk to her, she's the police." I said, "I'm not the police, I'm a nurse." He says, "Oh yes, she's the police because nobody exercises in this neighborhood." And that was the charge, and that was the passion to transform a neighborhood where they thought nobody exercised. At the mere sight of a woman running down the street, I had to be running from the police. So we went from that idea to training over 300 people to safely ride bicycles, to teaching young people how to buy healthy on a buck, and having our first annual Northeast Family Fitness 5K and having 500 neighbors come out to support our event. So that's what we thank you for tonight.
Thank you. We will now recess for the purpose of holding 2 public hearings. I declare open a public hearing on resolution intro number 354 of 2014 entitled Amending Increase and Improvements of Facilities in the Rochester Pure Waters District, the Fleet Center Improvements, amending 2014 to 2019 Capital Improvement Program, amending Resolution 117 of 2014, accepting incentive award from New York State Energy Research and Development Corporation for the Fleet Center Improvement Projects.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
Pardon me? Ma'am, this isn't public forum. This is for a public hearing right now. Okay? Thank you. I declare the public hearing closed and open the public hearing on resolution intro number 359 of 2014 entitled Establishment of the County of Monroe Wireless Surcharge.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed and reconvene the September 9, 2014 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature. You have in your folders the approved minutes from the last cycle. There are no formal committees scheduled for this evening. We will now hold public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Madam Clerk.
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature, and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds and exit through the back of the chambers. We thank you for your cooperation. Our first 2 speakers are Marianne Hero and Jeff Goldblatt.
Hi, I'm Marianne Haru, 307 Bremen Street in Northeast Rochester. We need a code of conduct for welfare recipients. I have rarely had trouble with homeowners. It's with transient welfare runners that sell drugs, loiter, steal, their kids are running wild, and we have problems with them destroying even neighborhood trees. I feel that when somebody gets a C of O, the social worker should meet with the residents and tell them They have a responsibility to our neighborhood. No loud radios, no litter, a curfew for children, humane care of pets, no dog fighting, and no hangout house where people smoke pot, loiter, and insult passerby during the day. We want people to be responsible and not trash our neighborhood and move on. To do nothing, for you people to do nothing regarding the social workers talking more to the recipients will foster more the spread of AIDS from heroin needles, kids joining gangs, loitering, and homeowners selling to slumlords. Detroit bankrupt, tax base 78% gone, and most of the people are, 78% of the tax base is single welfare mothers. Also, the Officer Pearson was killed about a 12-minute walk from my house. Dropouts lead to violence and gun possession, as we have witnessed in the horrible death of the officer, which is right near my house, and I also talked to the man who was grazed by a bullet while waiting a bus. Please do what you can to help us and make people more responsible and send their children to school so that they get educated and not join gangs and enter the street life. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for acknowledging the Glazers, who I've known going back 30 years. On top of the county's failure to adequately promote the Western New York Materials Exchange, we can now add Eco Park. I go to garage sales frequently, and of all the homes I've been to this year, only 5 knew of the facility's existence and what can and cannot go there. That, on top of electronics continuing to hit the curb, which is not supposed to be, led me to create my own version of the county's original information card, which when I give these out to people, they are truly grateful to receive. And as I have told senior management at Waste Management, when the average person in Monroe County understands what the word huge refers to and does not understand what Eco Park refers to, you have a problem, and dare I say it, that problem is huge. And that is my message.
Thank you.
This concludes the public forum.
We will now proceed with the considerations of local laws. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 14-0262.
Item number 1 is moved by Mr. Michike, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. This is a tabling, lifting from the table. All in favor? Opposed? That item carries. Next item.
Item number 2, referral 14-0262.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. This is the motion to adopt. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. We will now proceed with the considerations of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
President,
Yes, Mr. Tutorella.
I would like to rise to make a motion that we move the rest of the agenda with the exception of items 3, 4, 5, 15, and 16.
3, 4, 5, 15, and 16. And I have a second from Legislator Andrews. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. We are on to item number 3. Madam Clerk, are you ready?
Item number 3, referral 14-0240.
Moved by Legislator Michike, second by Legislator Yolovich. This is from lifting from the table. I'm sorry. This is for lifting the table. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 14-0240.
Moved by Legislator Michike. It is second by Legislator Yolovich. This is the motion to adopt. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. President. As those who were present at the committee meetings know I raised some objections to this proposal, particularly that the financing, because as the transmittal was drafted, it was not clear. However, since then I've had the opportunity, which I greatly appreciate, to meet with Mr. Napier and Mr. Franklin and Mr. Garland, who were able to more clearly explain the financing to me. The concerns that I have been allayed, and thus I will be joining with my colleagues in passing the item.
Thank
and
you.
I appreciate the fact that they met with me.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on referral number 4? Seeing none, I'll move to a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? That item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 5, referral 14-0240BR.
Moved by Legislator Michikadis, second by Legislator Yolovich. This is a motion to adopt. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. We are now moving on to item number 15. Just get in my place, Jamie.
Yep. Item number 15, referral 14-0257.
Moved by Legislator Michikay Boyce and seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, those who were present will recall that I had some serious questions about this and item 6, the related item 16, at the committee meetings 2 weeks ago. Again, I appreciate the fact that county leadership was willing to meet with me and some others this afternoon to discuss the proposal. Unfortunately, I and some others still have some serious concerns about the item. We would like to have the ability to review the various responses that were received to the RFP, which were made available to us only this afternoon. And therefore, Mr. President, I would move to table item 15.
Legislator Andrews. That's a motion to table. We'll move to a roll call vote.
Mr. Tucciarello. Ms. Andrews. Mr. Ansello. Mr. Baroth. Ms. Boyce. Dr. Carbone. Mr. Colby. Mr. Daniele. Mr. Delahanty. Mrs. Draw. Mr. Gamble is excused. Mr. Gamina. Mr. Haney.
Yes.
Mr. Howland. Ms. Cayley. Mr. John Lightfoot. Mr. Willie Lightfoot is excused. Mr. Marionetti. Mr. Michikay. Mr. Morelli. Dr. Quattro. Ms. Rivera is excused. Mr. Rocco. Mrs. Stick. Ms. Taylor. Mrs. Valerio. Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Yolovich. President Adair.
No.
7 to 19, motion to table fails.
Tabling motion has failed. Back to the main motion. Is there any other discussion on the main motion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the merits of the proposal, given that we must vote this evening, I will be voting no based on the information that I currently have, both on this and the accompanying bond resolution. My reasons for that are that this is $6 million, which is fairly considerable amount of money. What I personally am concerned about is the apparent lack of a serious return on investment, an effort to calculate a serious return on investment. Based on the information that has been provided, it has been demonstrated that there will be an annual savings, a purported annual savings of $376,000 a year. At this rate, the payback will be 16 years, which is a pretty long period of time for a return on investment of this type. Furthermore, Mr. President, I suspect that these annual savings are overstated in that they are assuming that the current 15 minutes saved per work order will be eliminated. There undoubtedly will be some time incurred in processing these items in the new system, undoubtedly less than 15 minutes, but certainly some time. And if one assumes that even 75% of this amount will be saved, which would be $282,000, the payback period then goes to over 21 years, which, based on the surface of it, I find to be an unreasonable period of time to expect for a return on investment in these difficult days when in the CIP we've been postponing parks projects and highway projects and other things. This project may indeed be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but given the county's financial situation and what I consider to be an unreasonably long period to recover our investment, I will be voting no. I would further point out that moving into this is committing us to making annual license maintenance payments to the vendor. The first 2 years of license maintenance payments are being capitalized in the bond issue. But after the second year, we are going to have to come up with a minimum of $117,000 a year in the operating budget just to maintain the operating licenses. And that's a number, I mean, these vendors of these systems have a propensity to continuously increase the license fees as the years roll on, so that I suspect that by the time we get out 2 years, that annual license fee is going to be well above $117,000. But because, for reasons I don't understand, this project did not go, even though it's apparently been cooking since 2011, this project did not go through the CIP process, where the reviewers of the CIP could judge it against the other projects that were put in, postponed, taken out of the CIP, and because I think there's an unreasonably long projected payback, I will be voting against the proposal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to a roll call vote.
Mr. Tucciarello? Yes. Ms. Andrews? Yes. Mr. Ansello? Yes. Mr. Baroth? Yes. Ms. Boyce? Yes. Dr. Carbone? Yes. Mr. Colby? Yes. Mr. Daniele? Yes. Mr. Delahanty? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Gamble is excused. Mr. Gamina? Mr. Haney? Mr. Howland? Ms. Kaylee? Mr. John Lightfoot? Mr. Willie Lightfoot is excused. Mr. Marionetti? Mr. Michike? Mr. Morelli? Dr. Quattro? Ms. Rivera is excused. Mr. Rocco? Mrs. Stick? Ms. Taylor? Mrs. Valerio? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Yolovich? President Adair?
Yes.
20 to 6, resolution passes.
Next item, please.
Item number 16, referral 14-0257BR.
It is moved by Legislator Michike and Legislator Boyce and is seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to a roll call vote.
Mr. Tucciarello? Ms. Andrews? Mr. Ansello? Mr. Baroth? Ms. Boyce? Dr. Carbone? Mr. Colby? Mr. Daniele? Mr. Delahanty? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Gamble is excused. Mr. Gamina? Mr. Haney? Mr. Howland? Ms. Kaylee? Mr. John Lightfoot? Mr. Willie Lightfoot is excused. Mr. Marionetti? Mr. Michike? Mr. Morelli? Dr. Quattro? Ms. Rivera is excused. Mr. Rocco? Mrs. Stick? Ms. Taylor? Mrs. Valerio? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Yolovich? President Adair?
Yes.
20 to 6, resolution passes.
There being no unfinished business tonight, Legislator Tucciarello.
Mr. President, we stand adjourned until 6 p.m. Tuesday, October 14th, 2014. Thank you all.